You ever wonder what would happen if an entire city, like a whole society, became so good, so righteous, that God just decided to move in? Well, today, we're going to dive into a story that asks exactly that. We're talking about the account of a city that literally walked with God. And that right there is the big question, isn't it? I mean, we hear stories all the time about righteous people, individuals. But a whole community? How does an entire city get so pure that God isn't just some idea they pray to, but an actual, literal resident living among them? That's the mystery we're going to try and unpack here.
Okay, so to even start to wrap our heads around that, we've got to look at the foundational claim made about this place. It was known as the City of Enoch.
The key phrase to lock onto here is dwelt with his people. Now, according to the source material, this isn't supposed to be a metaphor. It's describing a literal, super intimate association, one where the people were getting continuous, direct guidance right from the source.
So how is something like that even possible? I mean, really? Well, the source material points to this one specific theological key that kind of unlocks the whole idea for an entire city. And it's a concept called the second comforter. And here's the really crucial part. The second comforter isn't just, a warm feeling or an impression. It's the literal personal appearance of Jesus Christ himself. And what's so wild about this story is that this kind of experience, which is usually reserved for a single prophet, was apparently given to an entire city.
This quote here, which is attributed to Joseph Smith, really just drives the point home. It makes it crystal clear that we're not talking about some spiritual impression. Nope, this is a direct, personal visitation. And a visitation like that, well, it comes with some absolutely incredible promises.
So let's break down what this experience actually provides. This isn't just a one-and-done meeting. No, it's an ongoing relationship. We're talking about Christ attending them, the Father being revealed to them, visions of the heavens just opening up, and direct face-to-face teaching. And the result of all that? A perfect knowledge of God's mysteries. I mean, that is the incredible state the people of Enoch are said to have achieved. Okay, but this brings up a pretty practical question, right? Where did these amazing divine appearances actually happen? Was God just walking down the main street? Well, the source material suggests it was a much more specific and much more sacred situation. Yeah, the text is really clear that these visitations weren't a promiscuous event. And by that, they mean in the old sense of the word, it wasn't just random or happening all over the place. This wasn't something going down in the town square for anyone to just stumble upon. No. Instead, these were sacred occasions, and they were reserved for a very holy place, a temple.
The source actually draws a parallel to an instruction given to ancient Israel to explain this. The core idea is that for God to dwell among a people, you need a special, sanctified space. It's required. So the sanctuary, the temple, it becomes the designated meeting point between God and humanity.
And that is the key. That phrase, the Lord dwelt with his people, is interpreted to mean he appeared on solemn, special occasions inside a temple that was built for that exact purpose. It wasn't random, it was a structured, temple-centered relationship.
So what's the end result when an entire city has this kind of direct line to the divine? Well, after centuries of this, the society is said to have gained this immense influence and power.
And just let that number sink in for a second. 365 years. For some perspective, that's way longer than the United States has even been a country. This wasn't some brief golden age that came and went. It was a sustained, multi-generational project of building a righteous and powerful society. And this righteousness, it had very, very real-world results. Apparently, the glory of God was so obvious on these people that other nations were just in awe of them. The land itself was blessed, the people flourished, and their society became super prosperous and incredibly strong.
Ultimately, what the scripture says is that the citizens of Enoch City became the most influential people on the entire planet. And their power, it wasn't military, it wasn't economic. It came directly from their collective righteousness and that one-of-a-kind relationship they had with God.
And all of this leaves us with a pretty provocative final question, doesn't it? This story is really an exploration of the ultimate potential of a community that's completely unified in its purpose. It makes you ask, what really happens when an entire society achieves perfection? It's a concept that just kind of stretches the imagination. Thanks for joining us for this explainer.